everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to her story. Let's continue. We're going through all the videos in order, this using the blank trick and searching just the word blank because blank is a user tag in all the videos by default. We're starting the interview that happened on the 30th day of the 6th month of 1994. Well, we assume it's 1994. Could be 2094, but that would make a lot of sense.
Cup of tea would be good, thanks. Just one sugar.
Tea with one sugar. Drink this time?
Well, fine, considering. I got back into the house today, and that was weird, knowing your people had been there through my things. It's like I'd been burgled. I mean, worse, obviously. I don't know. I haven't looked in the cellar yet. They sent a cleaner in. As good as new, he said. But they had to throw some stuff out. Couldn't get the blood out. And I'm still waiting to hear from the coroner so we can get a date set for the funeral. It's going to be a cremation. So
I believe this is 5 days after they found the body, as far as the time frame. Fingerprints, question mark, another clue?
No one has been in the last few weeks. We had a plumber come in 3-4 weeks ago. Someone sang with you from the rock. In the bedroom.
So they found some fingerprints in the bedroom that don't match anybody they've tested before.
I hoover, I dust every week, maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week, but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day. You know, ran an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes. When I was there, I saw her. She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage, and she still has a secret like that.
That's kind of ironic statement, not really that helpful. I think if you vacuumed your house or your carpet every day, you'd probably ruin your carpet by 2 or 3 years. That seems a little obsessive.
A week or so ago. It would have been the Saturday before my birthday. You know, I get like that on the weekends, have a lie-in, then want to get up and blitz the house.
So, here's a whole line of conversation that I didn't even realize. They were asking her when she last cleaned to try and figure out when these fingerprints they found could possibly, how old they could possibly be.
Yes, yeah. I would have cleaned them. I changed the sheets too. With the fingerprints in all those places.
So, like, they're, without seeing the questions, we're kind of getting the answer that they found fingerprints were places that indicate somebody was in there within a week's time of the murder.
Could they have been my parents' fingerprints? I'm not sure how long they last for, but is that possible?
And here she's trying to say, is it my parents who haven't been in the house for 10 years which seems really unrealistic.
That
Unless she
can't be
means her
right.
in-laws.
In the bedroom.
And again, they're just talking about fingerprints. We found fingerprints in the bedroom.
I sleep on the right side of the bed as you come in from the door. You can tell because I have 2 pillows and he just has 1.
They're asking which side of the bed she sleeps on.
What kind of hairs?
And see, it's just going down this path. It's like we found hairs in the bed, we found fingerprints in the bed.
A wig? You mean... But what type of wig?
We found the wig.
No, I've never worn a wig. What kind of wig?
She's like, what kind of wig? What kind of wig? Give me details, I don't want to give you any.
Could the hairs have come from somewhere else? I mean, could they... We have a lot of dolls in the attic. There's a Rapunzel doll with long blonde hair. Could they have come from there?
She's doing a bad job at lying, and she's like, maybe it's this doll, maybe it's that.
Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper, but he wasn't there. I touched the kettle, it was cold. I looked quickly in the living room, nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. This time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor. And then I decided to come and see you. That enough?
So that sounds pretty rehearsed there. And this is the first time we've heard the story about what she did when she came back from driving all the way to Glasgow.
Yes, this is it. He made it himself. It was a special one-off. He made it. He decorated it. That's his thing. Where did you find it?
She asks, where did you find it? Find the mirror, because they were saying before she said, I thought it was upstairs.
Silverleaf? No. He normally silvers them properly. This mirror, it's supposed to look antique. The reflection isn't as good. It's the perfect mirror for someone who doesn't like to look at their own reflection.
I have a mirror that's supposed to look antique that doesn't reflect very good myself, and I don't really like it.
Look, on his clothes, that would make sense. He made it by hand. I mean, he brushes the silver onto the glass. It's not how they make mirrors these days. I mean, he made the mirror and he gave it to me.
So, I'm not sure we ever figured out what the murder weapon really was. We just kind of assumed it was the mirror.
On his throat. How?
maybe this is the response right here. Is we found that mirror in his throat, and I guess if it had some sharp edges on there, you could have swung it around and got it in his throat and potentially slit his throat that way. I guess that makes sense.
An affair?
She pushes the mirror away.
Simon wasn't having an affair.
Now they're back to the whole affair line of questioning.
No. Simon wasn't seeing another woman. Good. Happy. I mean, ups and downs like any couple, I guess, but we've been married for over 10 years.
So they're asking, like, how is your marriage type stuff.
I don't know if anyone really changes. You just become more yourself. Simon was my prince, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah, they're asking if Simon changed lately. Watching this all in order, it's like you're seeing the same question. Was he having an affair? No, he wasn't having an affair. Was he seeing another woman? No, he wasn't seeing another woman. And I'm sure that's probably how they do interview people sometimes, but I don't think they usually ask the same question back to back. They usually ask the question, then go on to some other questions, and come back and ask the question a different way later, but after they think you've forgotten.
Really? You're going to ask me about my sex life? I mean, isn't that private?
Now we get into the sex talk. Somewhat.
Are you married? How is your sex life?
So from that we know the detective probably said yes.
Well, there you go. How many kids?
And she's trying to change the subject. How many kids do you have?
So, our sex life is probably fairly average for a couple after 10 years of marriage.
So I bet the police officer said his sex life was fairly average too. And she's just mimicking him.
No, I have never been unfaithful. I've never cheated on Simon. No, you're talking to the wrong person if you think I'm some kind of slut. If you think I'm the kind of person that would have had sex with all those guys.
Notice how she phrases that? Would have had sex with all those guys? That's not how you would have phrased that if you weren't thinking or talking about somebody in specific.
Not really. He would go to the pub. He had his drinking buddies there, but no one ever really came back to the house. Sometimes Eric, his boss, and his wife would come over for dinner. That would be us returning the favour. Diana's a really good cook, into her trendy ingredients. And the last time Simon cooked something off MasterChef, he got the recipe off CFAX, and I did my Lloyd Grossman bit, commenting from the sidelines. I had to find fennel from the supermarket. Have you ever eaten fennel?
So, here's another red herring. If you had a medical dose of fennel, you could induce a miscarriage. But it would have to be a medical dose, not just eating it in food. And a lot of people on the internet went crazy on that red herring.
Hurt someone? Yes. But everyone thinks that from time to time, right? You just want to lash out. Well, my friend Eve. I mean, she was a friend from when I was a kid. And she was always more popular with the boys, and I used to hate her for it. I mean, really hate her sometimes.
So, here's where we kind of get the attitude of Hannah, what Hannah's attitude to Eve really was. Or at least at times would be.
We'd fight. We fought on the beach once and I held Eve's head underwater. There was no one else around. It was at the far end of the beach. And I held her head under and I kept it under. And for a moment, I just wanted to kill her and watch her drown. But that was it. It was just a moment. We made up after. It was a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, it seems like the love-hate relationship is one of them loved the other and the other one hated the other. There is something definitely being stated here that you would think, for what we determined to be the story, that there are actually identical twins going on here. Spoiler, but no reason not to spoil because we're going through all the videos anyways. You'd think identical twins who hid the existence of one of the twins their entire childhood would never fight, that they'd have a super tight bond. But I think being sisters alone trumps even that secret.
A police station. Yeah. When I was young, we ran away on my birthday.
We again?
Bob Dylan was playing in London and we thought we could break into his tour bus and have him take us with him. The taxi driver we paid to drop us off. I mean, we'd saved money, pinched a bit here and there to pay for the fare. He was suspicious because we were so young, so he told the police. So they came and picked us up and took me back to Portsmouth. My mum picked me up from the station. But I blamed everything on my friend Eve, so my parents let me off.
So that almost indicates, where did Eve go? Did the police have both Hannah and Eve when they were kids and just never make records of it? They probably wouldn't have. Would be
maybe a fresh cup of tea?
Because if the police had both Hannah and Eve in custody, they must have given Eve back to Florence and Hannah back to her parents. Must have been what happened. Unless Eve ran away and they didn't catch her.
Hannah. What are you doing talking about Eve?
So that's definitely a weird one, and it definitely points towards a different interpretation of the events. But I just saw too many pieces of evidence. I will completely believe that Hannah here is crazy and maybe talks to herself and believes she's talking to Eve sometimes when she isn't. But I still really believe Eve exists.
Just the one, sugar. Thanks. Is that kind of recording?
And then the video right after she does the whole knock code, she's asking if the camera's recording. So she's either a genius playing up an insanity defense and has been working this defense since the word go, since the very first video, or my decision that there actually is twins is accurate. And I think that is the most
1984.
likely answer.
Wasn't all for you in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost the baby at the end of spring and my parents died in the summer. It was a hot summer, a heat wave. So when they discovered the bodies, it was just awful. Because of the circumstances, them dying together like that, they brought in a lot of police. A forensic entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat. It's just awful.
Here's another piece of evidence I never saw. I don't believe she's wearing the necklace in this interview.
They said it was food poisoning. There was something in the food they ate. My dad liked to pick mushrooms, grow them too.
Unless it's just a chain.
They said it was mushrooms.
That's really thin, and I can barely see it.
It was hard to believe.
I don't see
Death caps. They have a skirt around the cap. My dad taught me that.
There's no necklace there.
But I mean, the police had no reason to think it was suspicious. They lived alone, and no one had any reason to hurt them.
Of course, we later on find the reason why she would have hurt them.
They'd gone to bed feeling ill, thinking it was flu or something. The neighbour called me. I had to use my key to let them in. We found them dead in their bed. And they'd been there for days. No one had noticed. Just awful. It was so soon after my miscarriage. The worst year of my life. I'd been so happy to get married, and after that it was just like, fuck.
So, notice there the key, and we just got the reflection there, which, that's supposed to be Sarah. I wish you got a good picture of what Sarah looked like. I'm personally gonna go see if I can tinker with the files and see if I can see it myself, but I won't really have any way of displaying that in the game, in the video. So I'm gonna do that just as my own indication to see how detailed the picture of Sarah is there, but it probably isn't that detailed. In fact, it very well may be that there is no actual picture file, that it's being rendered as an overlay video. But that video pointed out an important clue. She had a key to her parents' house. She could have changed the mushrooms at any time.
Yeah. I mean, I was infertile. Thought I was. They told me I was infertile after the miscarriage because of complications.
Here's another piece of evidence. Right there, and there we get the reflection again, and there's a doctor that said she was infertile there. So that's a little bit interesting that right after we see the video that says she's infertile, we see the reflection of Sarah, Eve's daughter. I'm just gonna spoil everything as we go, obviously.
I would have been a good mother.
I should put a warning before.
I was young, but I would have been a good mother. She was a girl, by the way, the baby. We were going to call her Sarah. Simon wanted to call her Ava after his nana, but I didn't want her to have a symmetrical name.
So here it is that they named the girl Sarah, but it's not, it's just they're reusing the name. It's not Hannah's kid that Hannah is talking here, that they named Sarah. It was Eve's daughter that they named Sarah.
It's all that matters, really, the baby. Simon's dead, but the baby, that's how he will live on. Our baby.
And see, with the glare filter on there, you don't see any of that reflection. That is, you totally miss out on that completely when you have the anti-glare filter on. That is just a shame. Because really all I would like is these lights to be gone. Because that's just annoying.
No. No, Simon didn't play guitar. He wasn't very musical. He liked to listen, but he was tone deaf.
So notice how she doesn't say I play guitar or offer anything up here. That's kind of a bit of a clue.
Yes. Yeah, it's my guitar.
I don't think both of them can play the guitar. That would be interesting if they both could. Well, that is going to be it for this running. Let's see, this is 0107, and then these 4 videos are 0107. So we have this light navy blue shirt that happens, and then this video happens where she spills her coffee, and then it goes to this other blue shirt. I didn't realize that's what happened there, and that's when we get to start seeing the tattoo. That makes sense. So people suspect she might have spilled the coffee on herself to show the tattoo. Here we are. I would say we are close to 50% done here. It won't be much longer before we hit the chit chat option will pop up so that we could end the game. Although when it comes up, I want to make a special note of that, because at this point we really haven't found out any single useful piece of information. My conclusion is all centered around a lot of testimony on these last 2 rows of videos, and then little bits of evidence that get corroborated in these first section. Right now, wouldn't even have been on track to believe what I think actually happened. Anywho, that's gonna be it for today. We're ending a little bit early, couple minutes, but this is a good stopping point. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All that helps me out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.